What was supposed to be the deal of the century didn't just go wrong. It rewired the used car market, wiped out billions in value, and quietly changed who really controls how Americans get their cars. At the center of it all was Hertz, a rental car giant, betting everything on the future, partnering with the most powerful marketplace on earth, and walking straight into one of the most expensive collapses in rental car history. Because while customers saw shiny electric cars and bargain prices, something very different was happening behind closed doors. Someone saw this coming, someone walked away early, and now thousands of vehicles are being dumped for pennies, while everyday buyers are left holding the risk. And the strangest part? This wasn't an accident. Inside Hertz headquarters, the mood felt untouchable. The announcement had just gone public. Over 100,000 electric vehicles, a bold move that instantly turned heads across Wall Street. Within hours, Hertz's stock surged. Analysts called it visionary. Headlines framed it as a historic pivot toward a cleaner, smarter future. Social media buzzed with excitement. Even competitors admitted the move looked brilliant. Executives watched the ticker climb, knowing exactly what it meant. Performance bonuses, stock grants, compensation packages tied directly to electrification targets. This wasn't just about renting cars anymore. It was about becoming a tech-forward brand. The projections looked flawless. Higher rental rates, lower fuel costs, strong resale values, a premium image that would attract younger, wealthier customers. The spreadsheets showed demand rising indefinitely. Risk barely registered. In that moment, nobody asked what would happen if the assumptions were wrong. Nobody slowed down to question how electric vehicles behave when driven by thousands of strangers. Because on paper, Hertz had already won. But the real world doesn't care about projections, and the real world was about to arrive. At first, everything seemed perfect. Renters lined up at airport counters, posting selfies from behind Tesla steering wheels. For many, it was their first electric car experience. Silent acceleration, giant touchscreens, no gas stations. Travel influencers praised the experience. Families filmed road trips. Ride-share drivers bragged about savings and tips. Hertz looked like it had cracked the code. But rental life is brutal on vehicles. Short trips, hard acceleration, hundreds of different driving habits, constantly charging to full, minimal cool-down time. Electric vehicles don't experience wear the same way gas cars do, and rental fleets amplify every weakness. Batteries degrade faster. Suspension components wear early. Minor damage turns expensive fast. Repairs piled up. Downtime increased. Service centers charged premium rates. In some cases, the cost to fix a single vehicle exceeded what it earned in rentals for the entire month. Customers began reporting breakdowns, stranded renters, charging confusion, unexpected warning lights. The cracks were forming, and then resale values collapsed. Hertz had counted on resale value as the safety net. When a rental car ages out, it's supposed to recover much of its cost at auction. That model had worked for decades. This time, it didn't. Tesla slashed new car prices. Overnight, used values dropped off a cliff. Vehicles that cost over $50,000 just 2 years earlier were suddenly selling for half that, sometimes less. Auctions filled with nearly new EVs that nobody wanted to touch. Dealers hesitated. Private buyers backed away. Battery fears spread fast. Hertz began writing down hundreds of millions in losses. Depreciation surged far beyond expectations. Every month the cars sat, they lost more value. Every sale locked in another loss. The exit plan became a fire sale. And the damage didn't stop with electric cars. Hertz had always relied on high-end SUVs to balance risk. BMWs, Mercedes, premium trims that traditionally held value. That protection vanished. As fleet vehicles flooded auctions, buyers disappeared. Too much supply, too much uncertainty. Luxury SUVs that once commanded bidding wars now sat quietly as auctioneers called out prices to nearly empty rooms. Values fell tens of thousands below original sticker prices. In some cases, Hertz owed more on the vehicle than it sold for. The idea that luxury cars were immune collapsed overnight. For the first time in decades, the rules didn't apply, and lenders noticed. Banks stopped treating cars as safe collateral. Loan-to-value ratios tightened. Interest rates climbed. Down payments ballooned. 40% upfront became common. Some models became unfinanceable altogether. Electric vehicles were flagged as high risk. Ex-rentals were treated like liabilities. Even buyers with excellent credit faced stricter terms. Gap insurance became mandatory. Repossession no longer guarantees recovery. The system was reacting to one thing: fear. Fear that tomorrow's car would be worth far less than today's loan balance. And ordinary buyers were about to feel it. Sarah thought she'd found the perfect deal: a nearly new electric sedan. Clean interior, low price, former rental, but professionally maintained. 6 months later, a battery warning appeared. The repair estimate was staggering. Warranty coverage didn't apply. Commercial use exclusions kicked in. Then came the tow bill. By the time she called her lender, the car was already worth thousands less than she owed. Selling wasn't an option. Refinancing wasn't approved. She was trapped. Marcus had a similar story. A luxury SUV from a fleet liquidation. Promised inspections, minimal wear. Then came the repairs. Electronics, brakes, suspension. Refinancing required a massive down payment, which he didn't have. Forums filled with stories like theirs. Buyers underwater. Repair bills are stacking up. Insurance gaps waiting to strike. The bargain had become a burden. And while buyers struggled, Amazon was watching. Amazon didn't enter car sales to own cars. They entered their own data. Amazon Autos wasn't a dealership. It was a marketplace, a digital layer connecting buyers, sellers, and inventory. Every click, every search, every abandoned cart. Over 200 million Prime members feed the system. Amazon didn't care if margins were thin. The real prize was understanding demand before buyers even knew it themselves. Logistics expertise, pricing algorithms, personalized offers. But when Hertz's inventory hit the platform, reality struck again. Car sales weren't packages. Titles, inspections, registrations, and transport created bottlenecks no algorithm could instantly fix. Pricing engines misread oversupply as collapse signals. Prices dropped too far, too fast. Deals appeared that were too good to be real. Some vanished after checkout. Others were snapped up by dealers watching closely. Within days, millions in value evaporated. The partnership is strained. And then Amazon made its most disruptive move yet. Instead of selling cars, Amazon shifted focus. Access over ownership, a monthly subscription that undercut traditional payments. Swap vehicles, no long-term commitment, no depreciation risk. Dealerships felt it immediately. Closures accelerated. Local economies felt the impact. Service bays emptied. Ownership stopped being the default. Control shifted to platforms and data. Privacy concerns surfaced. Driving behavior, location tracking, usage patterns feeding algorithms. Convenience versus cost. And suddenly, the collapse at Hertz looked less like a mistake and more like a warning. This wasn't just about one company. It exposed how fragile modern car values really are. How quickly algorithms can amplify panic. How ordinary buyers absorb risk while institutions pivot quietly. What looks like a deal can hide a system already unraveling. And the next collapse may not start at a dealership or a factory floor. It may start with a pricing update, a data signal, or a quiet decision made long before the public ever notices. Because the story isn't over, not even close.